Good morning. How are you doing today? Here we are, nearly 9 o'clock on Tuesday, the 24th of August. Fabulous. Um, and it looks like it's going to be a sunny one, which is always good. Always good. We like the sun, don't we? We like the sun. The changing of the seasons. Very soon, so I'm ready for the half night. That's what I'm doing. Um, so that'd be good because I used to work there, and that comes with a whole other kind of things going through your head. I don't know. It's harder, isn't it? It's harder talking to people you know. And talking to people you don't know, I find it's a bit like when I'm gigging. It's much harder, kind of playing to people who you know and see frequently than people you don't know. I don't know, it's interesting, psychological stuff. Anyway, I promised. Well, I didn't promise. I just said you might be getting sick of me talking about planning, didn't I? I said that. Um, so I thought, well, I'll talk about something different today. And I might talk about something different for the rest of the week because you must get sick of me telling you to plan. Of a moment thinking about sleep, because it's rest, and a big component of rest is sleep. Is a really important factor in our self care strategy, isn't it? And the usual stuff that I'm sure you probably know about sleep. We're aiming for 8 hours. I mean, I have to say the people that research sleep are I wouldn't say they're divided on this, but there's some flexibility in what they say. Matthew Walker, who's my go-to guy for this kind of stuff, his book Why We Sleep is fabulous. He's an 8 hour kind of guy. Some people are 7 to 8 hours, they reckon. Some other people kind of 6 to 8 hours. But the key, and there's a few questions to ask yourself, and I've mentioned these before, so I'll just remind you of them just briefly, before I make the point that I was going to make. And there are some key questions that Daniel Pink talks about in his book When, because Daniel Pink says that when we do things is just as important as what we do, which is fair enough. We're going to sleep during the night, obviously. Unless we're shift workers, they're a whole different set of people in terms of thinking about the impact of sleep, or lack of sleep on them. But anyway, the 5 key questions Daniel Pink reckons are the things to ask yourself about whether you get enough sleep. Are you satisfied with your sleep? That's the first one. Do you snooze? So if you can find the time to have 10 minutes, it does you the power of good. It really does. Um, are you asleep between 2 and 4? He says, and I suppose this is because of it's a crucial time in your sleep pattern. If you're awake at that time, your sleep's maybe being disturbed. So think about that. Do you spend less than 30 minutes awake at night? We all do wake up during the night. We are bimodal sleepers, naturally. So we do have 2 phases of sleep, if you like. And I suppose back in the day, years ago, we used to go to sleep when it got dark and wake up when it got light. And so if you're going to sleep when it gets dark in the winter, for example, then you're in bed early, aren't you? So sleep has been disturbed, and he says, Daniel Pink says, do you get between 6 and 8 hours sleep? I'd argue you need to think about the first question: are you satisfied with your sleep? When you think about whether 6, 7, or 8 hours is enough, but 8 hours is generally what we should be aiming for. But the thing that piqued my attention. 2 things have piqued my attention about sleep, actually, in the recent days. One of them this morning. One of them um, was Matthew Walker. I caught a little clip of Matthew Walker talking about sleep, and here it is. He said that there were studies that show that by only reducing sleep to 6 hours a night for 1 week actually affects your genes, and they measured changes in gene activity, and over 711 genes were distorted in their activity. I have no idea how many genes we've got. Probably got stacks. But anyway, 711 genes were distorted in their activity simply because people only had 6 hours sleep for 1 week, and half of those genes were associated with tumor promotion, chronic inflammation, and stress. And as a consequence of that stress, cardiovascular disease. So while there is a psychological problem associated with lack of sleep, there are also serious potential physical problems associated with sleep. And then this here today that I read in the news, some researchers are proposing, and at the minute the research has only been done in mice, as I understand it, but have proposed that the brain doesn't measure the length of time we've been awake. They can see that your cortex is measuring something. It doesn't measure the time we've spent awake, but it tracks how hard the brain has worked. So it's not the quantity of time we've been awake, it's kind of, the quality of what we do has an impact. The stress, I suppose, the psychological, cerebral stress of what we do has an impact, and it adjusts the amount of sleep we need accordingly. So if you've had a really intense day, you're going to need more sleep. That kind of makes intuitive sense, doesn't it, really? If you had a really stressful, heavy mental work kind of day, you kind of find yourself tired on a night. I don't know, that kind of fits with what I observe in myself anyway. But what this research has shown is beyond that is, not only does it kind of adjust how much time you need to be asleep, but that actually your brain shuts off localized parts of itself to rest it when that part of your brain has been, I don't know, what's the word, kind of overutilized, I suppose. So obviously, depending on what part of your brain that is, if this is right, whatever part of your brain that is going to have a significant impact on whatever that part of that brain is kind of doing. So, they suggest that you might not even notice that this has happened, but this localized shutdown of parts of your brain that have been stretched, overused, could profoundly affect your performance in certain areas, couldn't it? And the one thing that resonates for me with this really strongly is I find my word finding ability deteriorates rapidly late in the afternoon. I have a bit of a resurge early evening, but then when I've been chatting to friends on Zoom and Teams and stuff over lockdown, and like having nights out in, doing that kind of thing, by about 9 o'clock, I just can't find words. You know what I mean? It's just, I know that there's a word for something, but can't find it. So I wonder whether that's this. I don't know. But anyway, so this new thing, this fairly recent research you've seen, seems to say that our brain keeps track of how much we've demanded of it and adjusts our sleep accordingly, and even goes as far as temporarily shutting down certain areas of the brain, localized small areas of the brain, to give them a break, which obviously affects your performance. Very scary, isn't it? Really. I think it's permanently shut down some parts of my brain, quite frankly. But there you go. I must have really stretched them years ago. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to go because I need to make some coffee before I log on and talk to the good social work practitioners at Sunderland Adult Services at 9:30. So we'll catch you later. So have a think about your sleep and have a think about how you're getting on, and catch you tomorrow, hopefully. All right, take care.